The state lawmakers in the House have passed a bill lowering the charge for possession of an ounce of or less of marijuana to a Class C misdemeanor with a fine. But wait, there's more. The lieutenant governor essentially killed that. It would have meant offenders would no longer go to jail. The law, as it was passed, would have made possession of 1 ounce or less of marijuana a civil penalty, not a crime, with a fine not to exceed $250. A third offense, well, you get the point. It's all essentially dead now. The idea was similar to what is already in place in Harris County. Now, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick says the proposed law is dead on arrival. He controls the Texas Senate and says he's not interested in decriminalizing pot, but he has some fellow conservatives ticked off at his decision. Joining me here on The Factor Uncensored to discuss this is conservative veteran Andy Melder and Hunter White, communications director for RAMP, Republicans Against Marijuana Prohibition. Glad to have you guys here on The Factor Uncensored. Now, initially, we heard from the state Republican Party that they supported this, but they said the lieutenant governor was not in line with their line of thinking. So how did this ever happen?
Well, basically, he's not listening to the constituents. He's not listening to 86% of Texans that say they want to get this done. He's not listening to the. And
this is not just tree-hugging liberals.
No.
This goes across all party lines.
Yeah, that's correct. I represent a group of veterans. I represent a group called Veterans for Natural Rights here in Houston, and also Texas Veterans for Medical Marijuana. We're trying to get this pushed through. Many veterans are conservative constituents across the board. So, yeah, it's a big deal. It's not a partisan issue for us.
And there's only a limited time now. This is not likely to get through this legislative session, do you think?
The chances are not as rosy as we thought they were. There's something like 26 days left, but there is still a chance. The Senate could still consider it. There are still senators that people can contact. Senator Whitmire, Senator Huffman, two very important senators that people could contact here in Houston to let them know that they support reform and they want them to support what Texans want and what the Texas Republican Party wants.
Now, how can, for those who may be watching, how can you go over the head of the lieutenant governor if he says this is dead? I've declared it dead.
You make his seat feel real hot. You know, if you look at his Twitter feed from when he made his comment on Tuesday morning, you read the comments there, and many people are said, you're going to be the reason why this state flips. You're going to be the reason why the Republican Party loses control. And these are the ideas that conservatives are finally starting to open their eyes to, because we don't want to see people go to jail. We don't want to see patients suffer. We don't want to see these things anymore. And like I said, it's 86% of Texans that want reform. So 14% of people that are left.
No, and one of the things that you mentioned, a lot of veterans were supporting this. Why the vested interest by veterans?
Basically, we're looking at it a lot from the medical aspect. However, I think before we can do that, we have to look at the decriminalization aspect, because many veterans are using this medicine now, currently, from the black market at risk of their own personal safety. We're treating our PTSD, our chronic pain, and things that the VA is just slamming more and more pills down our throat, and we're sick of that treatment. We're not getting any better, and we found a lot of relief in the medical cannabis and the aspects of medical cannabis. So that's across the board. However, before we can get a medical program in Texas, it's going to be how long, we don't know. We think it's really important that we don't lock 75,000 people a year in jail, in Texas jails, waste $750 million a year on these resources that could be spent doing much better things.
Now, is it possible to just do it statewide on a local level, like we've done here in Harris County, like I think they've considered in Dallas County as well? Would that work if we do it county to county?
So that's the approach that has been going on. And while that has been successful in reducing the number of arrests, that's been successful in keeping people out of jail, that's not all Texans. That's basically letting your zip code determine what kind of criminal justice you face. And there are, tens of thousands, millions of Texans in rural counties that just is not realistically going to happen, and they cannot be left behind while people in Houston, while people in Dallas, while people in Travis, they get the benefit.
Could the governor, lieutenant governor, and the governor be concerned that this is a path to legalizing marijuana?
So the lieutenant governor, that's certainly his concern. The governor, however, this is a reform that he endorsed. The bill was changed to actually reflect what he wanted. He even said it in the debate, his governor debates in the last election. So it comports with what he wants, but yes, very much so. Lieutenant Dan Patrick is worried that this will lead to legalization.
Well, we'll be watching these last 26 days or so in the Texas legislature, and you guys keep us updated if you get any movement. Thank you for joining us.